Moving on with the session on insurance, as the next speaker, we have the honor of having the MD CEO Bharti AXA Life Insurance, Mr. Parag Raja. A few lines on him. Mr. Parag Raja is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Bharti AXA Life Insurance, one of the leading life insurance companies in India. He leads the company in its next phase of growth and the transformation and helps it achieve the mission of protecting and empowering every Indian through insurance. An industry veteran, Mr. Parag has a career spanning nearly 25 years, including the last 22 years in the life insurance industry across two organizations, Max Life Insurance Co. Limited and the Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance Co. Limited, prior to joining Bharti AXA Life Insurance. He was the Chief Distribution Officer at Aditya Birla Sun Life Insurance and led a team of over 6,000 employees of diverse functions nationally. An avid writer, Mr. Parag is a postgraduate in marketing management from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. A conscientious and result-oriented leader with deep-rooted values and a global outlook, has a strong bias for action with a proven track record in delivering sustainable results. Sir, it's our honor to have you with us. So please take over.
Thank you. I must say that when I attend some of these meetings and the introduction that is given, in every such introduction I feel, why is it that my in-laws are not in the room? Because they wonder where I go on Sundays. Let me begin by saying a big thank you to the Utkal Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event. Prabodhji, sir, all of you, thank you very, very much for inviting us. Let me take also the opportunity of wishing once again good afternoon to our inspiring captain, Debashish Da, my fellow colleague, Asit, Kailashji, all of us on the panel here. Friends from the industry, members from the Commerce Association here, and other dignitaries. You know, I have two challenges and I need your help. The first challenge I have is that I have this session in the afternoon after lunch. It is a dangerous time to present in any conference. And also it is us and the next session, and then we end today on day 2. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is that I have been asked to speak after Debashish Da. So I will request all of you to support me for the next half an hour by listening to me, and if you like anything you can applaud. If you don't like, at least smile and nod as if you are listening. Okay? So let me continue to build from where Debashish Da left. Sir spoke about, in summary, what the government of India, along with the insurance regulatory body IRDA, under his guidance and chairmanship, has laid down a vision that as India moves towards becoming a developed country, Viksit Bharat, by 2047, how can insurance industry contribute to that? And he said that is very well enshrined in what is now popularly known as Insurance for All by 2047. तो ये Insurance for All by 2047 है क्या? It sounds like a very big statement, but in essence what we are trying to do, as Sir said, is that in our country, where we don't have formal social security, like in developed countries your health is free, you have life insurance, you have pension, all provided by the government, but in developing countries it takes time. So what we are trying to do in the next 25 odd years is to make sure that every Indian is covered with one life insurance policy. Every household has one health insurance policy, they have property insurance, and on the other side, as far as corporates and institutions and firms are concerned, including MSMEs, they all have their required insurance coverages depending on what they need. That, in a sense, is what we are trying to achieve. That is the North Star. Sir has spoken a lot about why it's important, how it is a win-win for both the investor, the policy holder, as well as the government, because of the money is flowing in development of India. He spoke about all of that, and he particularly focused on Bima Trinity, which is Bima Sugam, Bima Vistar, and Bima Vahak, as the new initiatives which will help reach the masses and deep parts of the country. I want to continue from there so that there is a linkage. Now, we all know that after 25 years of privatization, today I represent life insurance sector. If you look at life and general insurance both put together, our penetration levels are less than 4% of GDP. Many developed countries, or let's say our neighbors, Asian countries, because Europe is different, US is very far, some of the best are 6 to 7% of GDP. So there is a huge scope. Plus we have to do insurance for all by 2047 nonetheless. And that, under that, one of the things that probably sir understood earlier and guided us was that by sitting in Bombay or Delhi, where most of the corporate offices are, head offices are, we will not be able to do this. We will have to go local. We will have to go geography by geography because our country is very diverse. Every 100 kilometers, language changes, culture changes, and it's just so many countries in one country. We all know that. That is how he thought that one of the great initiatives in our country which has been successful, which is SLBC, how do we replicate that in insurance? Thus came the birth of SLIC, State Level Insurance Committees. So now in our country, for the 29 odd states and 7-8 union territories, we have 1 or 2 insurers dedicated as lead insurers for that state. So, for example, in Orissa, in our state, LIC and Bharti AXA Life are the 2 lead insurers. Like that, there are 2 general insurance companies, Kotak Zurich and Shriram General. So, each state has been given to 1 insurance company or 2 and have been given a specific task to say, इंश्योरेंस फॉर ऑल फॉर 2047 बहुत बड़ा ग्लोबल है, ये करने के लिए लोकल करना पड़ेगा और हर स्टेट जाना पड़ेगा. तो आप लोगों को एक एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी देते एक एक स्टेट की, और इसकी मेजरमेंट होती है IRDA पे. वी आर कॉल्ड ऑन अ क्वार्टरली बेसिस टू से व्हाट इज द प्रोग्रेस, हाउ आर वी डूइंग, and we think there is a lot of good learning that we can take from the banking industry, because this is exactly how banking industry started state level banking committees 2 decades ago, and today almost all Indians have a mobile phone and a bank account. We need to do the same in insurance. So from in India, I will now move to Orissa, which is my subject, and also as the lead insurer, I have spent a lot of time in this state. So I will share with you my thoughts about that for your consideration. Orissa state has about 4.5 crore population. And in our country, broadly, give or take, we know that in one household, एक घर में, एक परिवार में 3 से 4 परिवार वाले रहते हैं. 3 or 4 people are there in one family, which means that if we have 4.5 crore population in Orissa, then it also means that we have about 1 crore to 1 crore 25 lakh households in Orissa. My job as Bharti AXA, along with all the insurance players together, is to find ways to reach and protect all these citizens of Orissa state. That's the core. This initiative started 2 years ago, and it took us some time because it is new for us. I must say that I have been in the insurance industry for 25 years, but I only understood after this initiative came through, and I have now visited Orissa state at least 10 to 12 times in the last 1.5 years personally, कि भैया हर स्टेट बहुत अलग है, और अगर ओडिशा स्टेट को कवर करना है तो आपको ओडिशा स्टेट के डीप इंटीरियर्स में जाना पड़ेगा, नॉट जस्ट बाय विजिटिंग पुरी और भुवनेश्वर. दैट इज नॉट वेयर ओडिशा स्टेट इज. So over the last 2 years, the progress we have made is as follows. We have now formally an SLIC formed. In this state level insurance committee, we have representation from IRDA, representation from insurance companies, representation from the state machinery, state government officials, and so on and so forth. This body is formed. Now, all of you are aware that if you cut Orissa state, we have 30 districts. So obviously we now have to form district level insurance committees for every district. I am very happy to share that all DLICs have also been formed, which has representation from the district. The district collector is there, and so on and so forth. Yes, if you feel like, you can applaud. No compulsion. In our state, under the 30 districts, we have 317 blocks. And under the blocks, each block has about 20 ग्राम पंचायत, which means अगर 300 ब्लॉक है ओडिशा स्टेट में, तो हमारे पास 6000 प्लस ग्राम पंचायत है. There are about 6000 plus ग्राम पंचायत in the state of Orissa. And under each ग्राम पंचायत, there are about 8 to 10 villages. So very simply, if you want to understand the geography and how the government runs the country, is state, district, blocks, पंचायत, villages. State district तो याद रहता है, लेकिन बाकी चीज़ें याद करने के लिए एक सिंपल फॉर्मूला है 10-20-10. मतलब हर ब्लॉक में, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में 10 ब्लॉक है, गिव और टेक. हर ब्लॉक में 20 ग्राम पंचायत है, और हर ग्राम पंचायत में 10 विलेजेस है. 8 to 10, 10-20-10. तो आपको पूरा भारत समझ में आ जाएगा, कोई भी स्टेट हो. अब ये मुझे सिर्फ यहाँ आने के बाद पिछले 2 साल में समझा. In MBA schools we are taught all this, but very high level. So if we want to cover every citizen of Orissa, it means that we will have to go to these 52,000 villages, aggregate to about 6,000 panchayats, aggregate to about 300 blocks, aggregate to 30 districts. सबसे पहले तो हमने इस तरीके से इसको स्लाइस एंड डाइस किया ही नहीं है 25 सालों में. We would look at business volumes at a sum total level. I think the big change that this initiative under Shri Debashish Panda sir has brought about in people like me personally is the principle of disaggregation. That how do you cut a state into smaller pieces and figure out, not to innovate, but there is so many things that the government of India does it in this structure. How do we piggyback on that instead of creating our own? So Orissa state SLIC and DLICs are formed, and that governance machinery is now ready. What is the next step? The next step is that if we want to cover everybody in Orissa, then we will have to think of product innovation. Sir ने जो बताया Bima Trinity will help, because Bima Vahak, which is the women-based distribution channel, a la business correspondent model of the banking industry, will help us drive penetration, will help us drive distribution. Who in touch, who is from that village, जो लोग उनको वहाँ जानते हैं. बीमा विस्तार एक सिंपल प्रोडक्ट है, टेम्पलेटाइज, ताकि हम ये इंश्योरेंस बिजनेस जो बड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स है, फॉर्म इतने भरो, ये करो, वो करो, क्लेम में इतनी तकलीफ, इसको सिंप्लीफाई कैसे करें. And templatize that you pay 1,500 rupees a year, you get 2 lakh rupees of life insurance, 2 lakh rupees of health insurance, 2 lakh rupees of personal accident and X amount of cover. एक ही प्रोडक्ट में कस्टमर को एक प्रोडक्ट देना है, पीछे हम इंश्योरेंस कंपनियां इसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे, कैसे करेंगे वो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी हम हैंडल करेंगे. The first initiative to drive penetration would be when all of this goes live. And all of this is not 5-year, 10-year programs. These are already in flight. You will see many of these going live with every passing quarter. The second thing that we have understood in Orissa is that we need local people here. So I have Ashok Chaudhary here. Ashok is our local head at Orissa. Amit is the local person here, based in Bhubaneswar, not in Bombay with me. They have been in Orissa, our Odia, have been born and brought up here and are handling our business in Orissa. We have offices across the state today. The second initiative that we want to drive, which I think is something I am going to recommend very strongly to many other of my colleagues. In this 1.5 years, we took some time to understand कि government of India से कितनी schemes हैं. There are so many schemes which have been launched at the state level, at the center level, at different periods of time, with different objectives. इसका कहीं पे एक summation नहीं है. You would be surprised to know that we already in our country have 10 schemes related to insurance and pension and health, sponsored by the government of India. Out of these 10 schemes which are in Orissa, 7 are central schemes and 3 are state schemes. So we spent some time in understanding what these schemes are, how many people have got enrolled, because ultimate goal क्या है? 4.5 करोड़ लोगों के पास इंश्योरेंस होना चाहिए, लाइफ, हेल्थ, एक्सीडेंट, प्रॉपर्टी. ये गोल है, ये मदर ऑब्जेक्टिव है. तो फिर the schemes that we already have, how are they doing is the first starting point. And then on top of these 10, there are certain specific sector related schemes. Like in Orissa state, there is a special scheme for workers. For people in the construction industry, there is a separate scheme for laborers. So we understood that. The summary of this is that there are schemes available by the state, money which is being spent by the state, and some monies which has been given by the center, but the enrollment in these schemes is less. If we just, me and the team and all of us together in the SLIC just focus on driving enrollment, we will be able to cover out of the 4.5 crore people between 18 to 60 years of age, which is life insurance, more for life insurance segment. That number is about 2.5 crores. This is all actual data of Orissa. Of this 2.5 crores, about 1.5 crore people have insurance, which means we need to cover 1 crore people. Now, who are these 1 crore? Where are they? Which state, which district, which village, panchayat we need to identify. And if we cover this 1 crore people, the state of Orissa at least will be covered. How much cover they need is a separate matter, which is about protection gap, which I will come to later. But at least we've reached everybody. And the fastest way to reach this, after my 1.5-2 years of working with the local teams and a lot of support by the state, is that if we just drive the already existing schemes and drive enrollment. This to my mind is the first bullet and the fastest bullet that can get us from point A to point B. The second thing, like I said, is the Bima Trinity. The third thing is we will have to be very innovative on products. The products that we sell through banks to ultra HNI, 50,000, 1 lakh will not work in driving penetration across the length and breadth of the country or the state. So we will have to go local and create products for segments. For example, for MSMEs, we will have to have a separate product. For the mining industry, which is very big here, we will have to have a separate product. For farmers, we might have to have a separate product. For urban and semi-urban, instead of going everywhere, we might want to look at housing societies and just create a product which covers those 200 residents in that society. All this has not been done earlier. I am not complicating this with what product and which platform because that will be too much, but we will have to think differently by making innovative products, affordable products which are easy to buy. That is the third leg of this. By doing all of this, in January of this year, you would be very proud to know that we launched our first SLIC meeting, which was also attended and flagged off and led by Shri Anugar. And we have collectively launched a goal. We said insurance for all by 2047 is a slogan for the country, but we have formally put the flag on the ground that along with the state government and as lead insurers and insurance industry representatives, we are going to work together and have insurance for all in Orissa by 2036, not 2047. And you know the reason why. I just learnt it from one of my senior colleagues in the media today, because Orissa was the first state which was formed in 1936, which linguistic state with Odia as the state. So actually Orissa state finishes 100 years in 2036. You all may know this, but we learnt it later. And all these initiatives that I just summarized is being done to get to insurance for all by 2036 in the state of Orissa, to cover these 4.5 crore people who are in this 1 crore households across the 30 districts, 300 blocks, 6,000 panchayats and 50,000 villages. All initiatives are being driven to get to this goal. I would once again like to end by saying a very small story, which will make the case for insurance very clear to all of us here. There is this story, very famous story about this person who is a farmer who is going from his village to sell goods to the mandi or the bigger market. And this is not in India, so the farmer has a car. Nowadays, India also, everybody has a car, including farmers actually. So as he was going to this big place with all the produce, some food, some vegetables, some chickens, to go to the big place, the person has an accident. And there is an unfortunate event. Now, the next day, headline of the newspaper said that in the accident, everything got demolished. Good news, number one, the car was insured. So it said that the farmer who died, car was insured, the family got one new car. Second good news came that all the produce was insured, including the chicken. So it came that benefits passed on, and the next to kin, relative, brother, all were able to fill up the store again with all the produce. And the third thing came is that the owner of all of this, the farmer, had no insurance. Now you tell me, which should be the case? First the farmer should be insured, then the car, then the produce. This is the state of affairs in our country. See, insurance is an act of love and is a necessity, and that is exactly why the three big things that are working by the government of India is that interest rates have come down, income tax slabs have come down, and now GST has become zero on life insurance and health insurance. So what is the government saying? More money in the hands of the consumers, which will help kickstart the consumption cycle in a big way. But as you have more money because of lower income tax slab and lower interest rate, there will also be savings. Today, India is a nation of savers. So from that savings pool, some amount goes to insurance. That will also continue to happen, which means the next 15-20 years for insurance is very big. The government is saying this is an essential category by making GST nil. Our PM going on record saying that. So we as a sector are united in this effort, and along with Utkal Chamber of Commerce and all other associations, including the state machinery and the center, with the support and guidance by IRDA, we will do our very best to make sure that we have insurance for all in Orissa by 2036. Thank you very, very much.